Can you hear me? Okay. So today I'm talking about a topic that takes 5 years of my life and still continue taking 5 years. I did my dissertation on refugees. And before my introduction, what got me in the population of refugees, I worked with Shiraz. I think we got all training on trauma, stress relief, and refugees. And before that, I heard a Syrian refugee gentleman told me one day, we left a war to get into another war. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is a beautiful country, safe. There is nothing there. Why you said is another war? And that has really got me there. And I remember when I started my doctorate degree, I told my chair, I want to do my dissertation on refugees. And everyone's like, this is hard. So going back, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share stories that I heard from people or from women that they were in the United States. And I'm sharing my story too, because I learned a lot from them. So when he said that, I was really interested about what he meant by get another word. So I did a lot of readings for 5 years, and I'm still doing this. So resilience was found to be kind of a buffer of developing mental health issues, including PTSD. And I was like, okay, how can I find resilience among this population? And by the way, I can't really go all over my slides. It's going to take over 20 minutes, but what I can guarantee, if you email me, I will share a copy of it. So the statement for a problem is, in the United States, if you know about refugees population, they have different system. They don't have that refugee, but they don't have the kind of the services they have. Most of them, they come from Arab countries. They don't believe in westernized treatment, right? Didn't tell me what I get. I will tell you what I want. Some of them, they use traditional, like they go into imam or talking to someone or get herbals, as Dr. Zaina said earlier, but they don't really go to the right person, especially when it comes to trauma. So they use heavily their own traditional medicine. So there's a lack of research. Female Muslim Arab refugees in the United States, they consider the minor of the minorities. They don't know much about it. Believe me or not, my IRB take 9 months because of the lack of ignorance they have. I was telling the board, if I was pregnant, I will have a child by the time. It takes 9 months to just approve because you are scared. You don't know what is refugees is, whether it is needs, what they have been through. You just keep in circle and circle and circle. And that's why I was like, no, you need to know. We need this type of research because we need to know how to work with them. There's a high risk of discrimination, especially with hijab. It's easy to identify based off their profile. And I know some of them, they take it off because of their safety. So what is my research questions? After he told me this, I was like, I want to know what is trauma is in this population, what is the resilience is, and what the coping mechanism they have been used prior coming to the United States, and what is the mechanism they use after they come to the United States, and what is acculturation is. I'm a person who is half Egyptian, half Saudi. I know what his culture is. I've been exposed to many cultures. I lived in the United States for 13 years. And I just want to know how this is affecting because I'm not the person 13 years ago. So I'm not going over the resilience, but as I said, resilience has been found in 1990s, is about provide a strength-based perspective to conceptualize one's cognitive, psychological, and social development, and such component can be used to design a culturally appropriate intervention. Resilience in the United States is different in Arab. That's what I learned. Believe it or not, we don't have a specific word about resilience in Arabic. I'm still looking at it now. I've been collecting old books about literature in Arabic to find that word so I can have it. But there's no words in Arabic, and that is really interesting because if you can't have a word, how you can conceptualize it, and then how can you work with it? So when it comes to westernized, they only take about 6 components: self-perception, planned future, structure, style, social competency, family cohesion, and social resources. And I was arguing with my chair about it. It's like, what about planned future? I said, by God will. What about family? I said, our neighbors, our family. It's not our mom and dad. No, our friends are family, our neighbors are family. So the concept itself, the definition itself is completely different. And looking about no grits, I think there's a research said they found the resilience, the kind of the closest to it is grit, not resilience. And that by itself, it was really interesting to know. And that's how I get my argument with my board is like, we need to know what is resilience in this population. So there's a lot of factors comes into play when it comes about resilience and trauma. There is age, there is basic need, personal trait, acculturation, religion, self-ethnic identity, social support, family, cognitive coping strategies, hope. All of these, they really impact resilience and trauma itself. So one of the things that we need to know, we need to understand what is Muslim identity. Everyone in the room, they can define it differently, even though we may look like similar to each other. So think about it, you are in the Arab country or Muslim country, but you are moving to a different country that doesn't even know who you are. What is this piece of fabric you have around? Why you are praying 5 times? So there is a lot of ignorance or lack of education about what is Muslim identity when it comes. I remember one of the refugees told me, I'm not going to church to get resources. Why I'm going to church? So that she found it very offended to her, and that they don't really understand what is Muslim is. So the method, believe it or not, I didn't even knew that I will do grounded theory when I start my dissertation. If I knew, I would not do it. I was crying, I was complaining. It's a lot because I'm developing a theory. And it's huge. There's sticky notes everywhere in my apartment. Everyone knows from my face and work on my dissertation. Literally everyone in campus, they know that. Because I stay until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning just to figure out, listening all to these interviews and story. So I'm not gonna go over this. Grounded theory is, for those who may not know it, is I don't have hypotheses. I'm listening to them, and I'm getting the information from them. So if I have blank, I'm just interviewing people with 20 questions each person that I had for, I think I had 21. We had to just exclude one person. Sorry. We have to exclude one person. So I have 20 people interviewed. I want to learn from them what is trauma is, what is resilience is. Doing a coloration research is not working. We don't really know. Each person had their own story. Each person, they define it. We are coming from Arab Muslim countries. You don't even know what is resilience and trauma is, and that is what struck me. I'm a Muslim Arab person. I learned things that I never see in books. So going to the results section, general observation from the interview. I think I said I have 19 to 20 questions. Each question, they give me a story. Example, there is no abstract definition. When I told them what is trauma is, well, drama is, and give me a story. And I enjoyed it because this is how I learn about them. So they use really stories and idioms. I have idioms, and she said, you speak Arabic? I said, yeah, and we just laugh about the idioms they use. All these idioms and all these language and cursing. So I was like enjoying this. I noticed they use the present and past tense when reporting experiences that occurred in the past. It's part of their identity. We cannot really say, it happened. No, they are still refugees. They left their home, they left their country, they lost everything. So I was telling my chair, they're like, maybe you think it's a language. I said, no, that's part of it. 20 people you are telling me because of the language? They use also, they don't refer them as I. I think we all share this, even myself, and I have to say to westernized people, if I say we, I mean I. So just think about it. That's how we use it, because I notice when we say we feel connected. Even I'm referring to myself. Also, there is no direct, as I said, abstract. They speak at times ambiguously, like, you know. But what do I know? So they don't really tell me, they just refer, you know that, right? You know what happened. So they want me kind of, the way is connecting me. Trauma and adversity storytelling. As I said, 20 questions by 20 people, I have 400 stories. 300 something pages. I have to code every single word. I'm telling you, I was almost dead. Trauma and adversity among female refugees. I was looking to all these scripts and these faces and the voice they said. And I remember ever saying to them, what is trauma is? And they said, everything. Everything. And it was like, I heard it once and twice and third time until I was like, no, there's a meaning by this. And I have to go back, not even reading, I was looking to the interview because they were recorded. And I was like, that's a word by itself. That's a trauma. And it's reflecting a number of losses and traumatic and adverse experiences in deciding to come to the United States. And then I was telling my chair the other day, I remember that day because I have red eyes, I didn't sleep, I have all these ideas in my head, I don't even know how to get it out. And I was like, Dr. Rubenstein, these people say this, and this. Trauma is for them, is not the trauma we know. And I feel like I was telling him, they lost something, everything, and they kept grieving and losses. And they found it's like, do you think they have loss of moorings? For this is like, I have what? Yeah, that's what I observed from them. Loss of moorings, I think the moorings, the word itself coming from ship, the ship, the moorings, is containing. They lost it. Refers to the sense of environmental, cultural, and personal identity, confusion due to quickly losing normalcy, familiarity, standards, norms, values, relationship, beliefs, or ways of thinking, socializing, communicating, and socializing, causing a lack of individual security and stability. It's a lot. It's a lot at once for those who may experience this, and that's loss of moorings. I saw tears, I saw mumbling, I saw words here and there. There's a few interviews I have to cry out of my eyes because I don't even know how they still laughing, still smiling, still wanted me to help and bring more refugees to help me with my dissertation. There's the codes that I found. I'm not going over this, but I'm going to highlight a couple of them. Grieving autobiographical memories. All of them, they remember the houses. The gathering around table, I think Dr. Zaina said earlier, dancing, talking, gossiping about neighbors. I remember one of the refugee women told me, I miss going to Masjid al-Amawi. They miss the old market. And lack of togetherness. I personally, 13 years of my life, I think I have a couple of friends in the United States. But yeah, you go up in the morning, you're like a machine. Go in the morning, go to work, go burned out, and come home and sleep. And that's the circles coming. And that's one of the reasons I left the United States. Like, I'm getting too old. I cannot live with this. It's too much, and I really kind of connect to them. It's life demanding. It requires you to work and work and work and work. And people sometimes have a westernized perspective. They don't really believe we heal each other. Sometimes you talk to your friend and get it out of your chest, and you're done. You can't continue your day. And the other that I want to highlight also, kind of the trauma, being a refugees, lack of resources. Most of refugees in the United States, they have 3 months of support, and that support is not enough. If you have children under the age of 18, you may get some help, but if you are not, you are in your own way in 3 months. And most of them, the issue is language. They don't even know how to navigate the culture. And trauma is kind of the children and education. I think I will kind of focus more on the education aspect. There are many female Muslim Arab refugees, they said about, we don't want our children to learn about LGBTQ, but we are afraid to speak up because what if they reported us and they took our children? So we have to shut up and just digest it and go through, and we have to focus on. I know there are some refugee females, they decided to leave the countries because their kids, especially their girls, they wanted to have sex outside of marriage. And one of the argument is if I said no to her, she can call the police on me. reported me for emotional neglect. And kind of that issue about the identity, about acculturation as well. Also children, they kind of confused and worried, and trauma for them is children, about their safety, separation, death, what if something happened to me? Believe it or not, I think someone yesterday talked about it, the psychosomatic symptoms. They believe that cancer, there's a few female refugees, they said we have cancer because of what we have been through. And some of them, they're still in the treatment, and they kind of, who's gonna take care of our children if something happened to me? Also trauma to them, religion, losing their religious identity. As I said earlier, they've been forced in one way to another to take off their hijabs. Lack of religious structure about kids, because two things they kind of worried about is drug use and sex. And also the experience of migration. They lost associated with moving, threatening to evacuate, health and economic crisis. Most of them, they have health issues. After losing the insurance within 3 months, they don't even know how to navigate the health system. And for me, I have a doctor, I have health issue, I'm struggling. What about them? They don't even have the language. Also, refugees, kind of what trauma to them as well, lack of conceptualizing or application the concept of coping skills. They don't know what is coping skills. If they go to the hospital, I say, do you have trauma? Do you use coping skills? And I was telling one of my colleagues, how do you know they understand the question? So mental health among female Muslim Arab refugees, I think that's another topic, because there is, I think yesterday, I don't remember, I tried to remember the name, but she said they just estimate a wild percentage from 4% to 92%. But is that really right? Is that really accurate? After doing this, I don't think so, because some of them, they don't even share it for multiple reasons. But when I asked him, how do you know someone have mental health issue? They said life dysfunction, social disconnection and isolation, body language and nonverbal cues. I remember they told me laughing excessively. That's a sign of mental health issue. Moving your hand is a sign of mental health issue. Behavior, affect, and thought change, psychosomatic symptoms like restless leg, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. I was surprised they associate that with their mental health. Mother's feeling. I was like, how do you know? I was like, I feel it. If they said this to a psychologist in the United States, good luck. Going to resilience, I'm not going over this. I think we managed, I covered that, but I think coping mechanism to strengthen resilience is learning the language and learning the culture. Didn't tell me bounce back. I was telling my chair, there's no bounce back in this population. They are struggling every single day. But resilience to them, we want them to bounce back despite the adversity they experience. And I was like, really? That's in the United States. That's with middle class, working person. Now with refugees, every single day, they experience trauma. So learning the language, because if I want to get the health I need, if I want to get the education I want, if I want to address, I need to speak. I need to address. If they don't know how to do this, I remember one of the refugee female that I interviewed, she said she arrived a night before Ramadan, and she doesn't have any grocery to cook for iftar. And she went with her husband and little kid to find a grocery around, and she got lost for 6 hours walking. She doesn't even know where she is. She found a person with a hijab, and she ran. And just holding her, started crying. She said, I want help. Why they don't even teach them how to navigate there? It's easy with smartphone. It's easier than other countries, especially in the United States. There's a lot of coping mechanisms. I'm not going through this, but it's more about the cultures and identity. Feel free to email me I'm more than happy to share that with you. Even the different phases and importance of support. I was surprised they know exactly where to go. If they want help, there's different type of support. There is the friend and family support and same gender support, or a support from organization, they have insight about what they need and who may help them, but they don't have access to it. Also, there's other coping mechanism as well that is related to the value. They are heavily in values. And I don't think so that has been recognized in the United States. Some of them, they will just keep going because they want to provide a better life for their children. Or they don't want to go back for safety. Or they want to value their parents' sacrifice. Also, there's active social coping based on values and personal, social, and relational values. And I remember one time she said, drinking coffee around the table and laughing. That is increased resilience. Kind of being open to communication. I remember I went one of the events they have, and we cooked, and we laughed, and we cried, and we took pictures, and we did everything. And I was asking them, how do you feel? It's like, we feel like we are back home. Also, there's about religion and religious practices and faith as well. That is kind of strengthening their resilience, and that's what the literature said. But I think the difficulties here was about how to define religious amongst resilience. There's a lot of coping still. There's traits, characteristics, and skill. There's mental health support. There's cognitive and ways of thinking, kind of grieving, life comparison. Life comparison was like sometimes helpful and sometimes not helpful. It depends about the way they think. Discussion. My first question was like, what is trauma? Trauma to them is drama. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember Bab al-Hara. You know, drama is where a life event has a lot of emotion and events happen. 99% except, no, 2, like out of these 20, there was 2, and I believe they knew what trauma is because they are like when they moved to the United States, they were kids, so they were in school, so they have that exposure. But 18 of them say drama, and they give me stories. So trauma is drama. And what I learned is idioms. And my colleagues who works with me, we talk about trauma, they said, do you want a drama? I said, yeah, drama. So we remember all of these movies and series, TV shows. That's the drama. Yeah, there's killing, there's healing, there's connection, there is a lot in one life event. Idioms. Don't take idioms not seriously. Take it seriously. It's a hint. We are Arab cultures, we really don't share directly. You need to learn, or you need to understand between lines. Language barrier is also, I think part of it is language barrier when it comes to refugees. And I think that's why they didn't get the support they needed in the United States. So as I said, we found that's the kind of first question. The second question is about resilience. And they found a peer that utilized interpersonal, like community connections, different type of support, and religious and faith as their style of coping with adversity and trauma. I remember telling my chair, CBT goes out of the window. Yeah, we need more ACT work. We need to really impress their value. I remember one of the refugees, she started crying, told me, she's like Lebanon, she said, we were welcoming refugees, now I'm a refugee. And she didn't like it when the mayor introduced her. And she started crying. She said, I forget about everything, and that's for her is drama. That's the drama for her. So we need to really impress the values they have. The third question is about strength. Is kind of similar, learning the language, increase mainstream culture awareness, teach them how to navigate the culture they moved in. Similar to, I think we covered that, the faith, the active religious commitment, the values, the activities. The last thing, the fifth research about acculturation, the more you acculturate and keep both cultures, don't focus on the United States or the American westernized cultures, no, focus on both. That's when their strength, because some of the programs that I found, they really just focus on the mainstream. But we are heavily in our culture identity. Loss of moorings, I think I covered that, and I think that's the theory that I developed. Trauma is not trauma that we know. It's a westernized word. Loss of moorings amongst this population is what is trauma for them. And the last thing we have is acculturation resilience. I developed this word. I promise I will finish. Kind of what it is really is the theory of acculturation resilience includes seeking mainstream skills and practicing cultural and religious values and coping mechanism to adapt to the challenges and difficulties in the welcoming country. That's the implication. I think the next thing I'm doing, I'm developing an intervention based on what I found. Wish me luck, because after working for 5 years, I need healing, because I told them is this dissertation has really made me a different person. I'm still remembering the tears we have. I still remember the talks we have. There are also a lot of limitation. One of them is the language barrier. Because I'm Arab, sometimes when we talk to Arabs, we hide something because stigma, and we don't want to like shy or feel. So I think that's part of it. But I think in my case, it wasn't that noticed. That's the future direction. I'm replicating this with a different population, refugees populations, not Arab or Muslim countries. And kind of where we are doing next is developing an intervention. And that's my references that I used. And thank you so much for listening. And that's my contact.